Hello everyone, this is Queerish, a podcast by Oslo Pride. I'm Alex Benjamin Jørgensen, producer and journalist, and I'm host of this podcast. Today's episode topic is Oslo Pride, volunteering, family, and activism. We will talk about Oslo Pride's work, this year's program, the importance of volunteering in Oslo Pride, and many more topics during today's episode. Our guest for this very first episode is Inger Kristin, leader of Oslo Pride. Welcome, Inger.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to have you with me today. The Pride is a worldwide movement and philosophy asserting that LGBTQIA+ individuals should be proud of their sexual orientation and gender identity. Oslo Pride is at the heart of this movement. And who's better than Iko, as some of us also call you, to talk about Oslo Pride. Welcome in this very first episode.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna start with the first question. What is Oslo Pride?
Yeah, Oslo Pride is a festival. It's a pride festival, and it comes from the pride movement that started with the Stonewall riots in the 1960s, end of 1960s. And there was some protests in Norway in the 70s, and then it was organized through a then gay organization in 1982 for the first time. So Oslo Pride is coming from that, and through the years grown to be a quite large pride festival. It's the largest in Norway, with more than 500,000 people gathering in the city center of Oslo to celebrate diversity of sexual orientation and sexual minorities in Norway.
Mm-hmm. I know that you call Oslo Pride a family.
Yeah, it started out as a family feeling. As I was engaged in gay rights, as we called it when I was younger, and for me that was kind of a harsh environment with politicians and like arguments and arguing and being really like activistic. It was very harsh environment for me. And then I met some people who was organizing Oslo Pride, and I felt this is more a community where I can be myself and engage in things that I think is important without this harsh activist environment around it. It was more like a family feeling than this like we're going to war feeling.
Mm-hmm. How does Oslo Pride function? Like, what is the structure of this organization?
Oslo Pride is organized as a volunteer organization, where the idea is that the engagement and ideas of volunteer people, the grassroots of the queer community, should be evolved and can come through the festival. So it's organized with different groups of volunteers who work with the content and the identity of the festival throughout the year. And then we also have an office that their job is to make sure that these volunteers have whatever they need to do what they're supposed to do.
So we can call the volunteers are at the heart of the organization.
Definitely, and also, of course, if you don't want to engage throughout the whole year in a big project, which it is, you have to use several hours every week, being a volunteer all year round. If you don't want to do that, then you can just go to our webpage and you can click the Bli frivillig button, and then you can submit for 1 or 2 shifts in the Pride Park or other venues that we have, which is less engaging, but you're still a part of this. Mm-hmm. And you have access to our volunteer spaces in the arenas.
Mm-hmm. This will take us to the topic of volunteer, which we're gonna get back to in a moment. But I have a question. Many voices have called for more inclusivity at Oslo Pride, and I know that there has been an ongoing process to make this organization more inclusive. What could you tell me more about that?
I think if you know the history of the festival from back to the early 80s, this was a dugnad. It was volunteer work. It was people from the community who wanted to make this, and by coming together, they made it. A lot of volunteers in Oslo Pride in the early days have spent enormous amounts of money and time making this festival, and the way that we recruited earlier was through our own network. Like, okay, I have a friend who knows this, I have a friend who knows this, and then you so this is how people were kind of put into the festival. And as we know, whenever you recruit through your own network, you can recruit people who look like yourself, who have the same experience as yourself, and then that's the opposite of diversity. So I think with the professionalization that we've had in the later years, since 2017-18, I think we started having people hired in the festival and really starting to professionalize it. We are able to work more structurally with how to recruit people and how to open up and make it possible for more people to join the festival.
From my work closely to you, I know that Oslo Pride, there's place for everyone, like immigrants, minorities, everyone is welcome in Oslo Pride. But I think maybe they need to hear you. What would you like to say to people with a minority background?
Welcome. First and foremost, we are welcome, and we want to have a diverse group of people making this festival. We want it to be made by the community, for the community, and if you have an opinion on how the Pride should be, then you should join and make sure that we're going in that direction. And also, I would like to say, because I think a lot of this problem that we've had with inclusion and diversity is about communicating what we actually do, and I think a lot of people don't know how we do things, because we, for example, with disabilities, we have a lot of stuff that we do to make our arenas accessible, but we forgot to tell people that they are accessible, and then you don't know that they are accessible, and then how can you why would you want to come? So I think that we need to be better at communicating what we actually do, and also, of course, people should know that if there's anything you're unhappy with, you can let us know, or you can join us and make it better.
Yeah. And this takes me to the next question, that it's also, some people criticize or ask, or they still don't know about difference between having sponsors or having partners. Because some people say that the gay pride event activities is becoming more commercialized, and we kind of take sponsors that we are avoiding to offend them by doing certain things which is eventually turned out to be pinkwashing. I know that in Oslo Pride we don't have sponsors, we have partners, but could you just elaborate more? Tell me what's the difference between that, and do we answer to anyone's agenda in Oslo Pride?
Okay, so we have a really important principle in Oslo Pride, and that is that we want to decide ourselves what the Oslo Pride should be. So we have a principle that 50% or more of our income should come from what we make ourselves through food and beverages in the arenas and such. And that is because we don't want corporations or the government to have an agenda and directing us. We want to do the direction ourselves. But we do have partnerships with companies, and we have really, really strict procedures for who can be a partner, and it needs to be a collaboration. It needs to be a commitment from the company that they work to make their own company more diverse, to make it more inclusive, and raise awareness of sexual minorities and gender diversity. And by being really strict, then we can set the list for and actually use the companies to make things better for people who are queer who works in companies. I think pinkwashing is really important topic to talk about, and I know a lot of smaller prides and smaller organizations gets offers from the corporations, and it's tempting to take the money, and then after a while you're taking the money, you didn't put any demands behind taking the money, and then all of a sudden you are dependent on that funding, and you're taken in a direction that you don't want to go. I think this is especially in some foreign countries, this is a big issue. So we try to be really strict about that. We also try to help our community whenever they have corporations contacting them, then they can contact us in Oslo Pride, and we can discuss how should you approach this, make sure it's not pinkwashing.
Yeah, I think the pinkwashing, we are planning in the communication group a special episode prior to the Pride, and we're going to be very transparent and talk about what people think, and we might host some of our partners. This is really important topic to talk about. But the last question about this topic, all this information are, transparent, so people can actually come and check and see the government funding and partner funding, and everything is accessible for.
Transparency is key to a democratic organization. So if you have any questions about how Oslo Pride is organized or funded or whatever, just let us know, and then we will answer.
Now we move to, I think, the best part of this podcast, when we are going to talk about this year's program. I know there's a lot of things, and I know that you're not allowed to talk about everything because there are still some stuff is not released yet. But with what you can tell us, let's start first with the Pride Square at Youngstorget.
Pride Square, that's a new arena. It's going to start on Saturday the 18th. The opening day of Oslo Pride, and it's going to be all the way till the parade day, the 25th of June. And it's a arena, outdoor arena, open as an arena at Youngstorget. Half of the arena is going to be non-alcohol serving area. So during daytime, it's going to be very family friendly. It's going to be lots of activities for kids, readings, and maybe some glitter workshops and cool stuff for kids. And after 6 o'clock, it's going to be an area for youth to be. So I'm really proud to finally present a safe space for families. And then the other part of the Pride Square is going to be more like a cultural arena. During daytime, there's going to be a black box that we call the Pride Box, where it's going to be presented different works of professional queer performing arts, like dance and theaters. And during night, after 7 o'clock, there's going to be different genres of music that you don't usually find in a Pride Park. So it's going to be more like jazz, punk, folk music, world music. Yeah.
And the Pride House is still also
of course this year. Pride House, as usual, it's going to open on the 18th of June, and it's going to run until Thursday the 23rd. And Pride House is a very important arena for conversation and dialogue, information. I know that a lot of politicians are going to come and participate in important discussions, and there's going to be lots of different organizations who's going to help us program this program. It's even going to be one day dedicated to literature.
Mm-hmm. And Pride Park also?
Pride Park, as usual, it opens on Wednesday, and it runs until the parade day, the 25th of June. On Wednesday, it's going to be the parade opening show and it's going to be information stands as usual. It's going to be the main stage with lots of cool music and drag shows, and we also have Bamsescenen, where there's going to be all these kind of like small, more weird or unusual things happening. So I think it's going to be the best Pride we ever had.
And the parade also is back this year.
Parade is going to be physical. It's going to be glamorous. It's going to be full of biodegradable glitter, and it's going to start in Grønland as usual, and it's going to go to Spikersuppa as usual. On the way from A to B, exactly where that's going to be, I can't really say yet.
So there's a lot of surprises yet to be announced, and also there is the opening show, which is, I think you can tell us more details.
Yeah, there's going to be several parties, of course, we have every year. New this year is we're going to have an opening party, and it's going to be on the 18th of June, which is the day the Oslo Pride starts. So 18th of June is going to be an opening party. But there's also going to be parties throughout the week, and there's going to be a closing party and fredagen as usual. So you will find more information on this when it's released, and the final program is going to be released 1st of June, and then we're going to, until 1st of June, we're going to slowly drop the program in pieces.
And also this year we're following the same policies like security. They have Rusa Kompetanse, and it's a safe place for everyone, safe space.
We've made some changes in how we secure the external arenas. Previous years, to be part of the Oslo Pride program, you only had to enter your program post in our website, and then you were part of the program. This year, you're going to have to, in order to be a part of Oslo Pride official program, there's going to be a collaboration with us, and the reason for that is that we want to make sure that external arenas have the competency on our audience. So all the external parties are going to be on venues where the crew has been through training on how to meet with a diverse audience like our community.
So this is also something I want to talk about, external arenas. We also have some concerts and events that is happening at external arenas.
Yeah, in collaborations with Oslo Pride, there is going to be some, because the park, Pride Square and Pride Park, they close at before midnight, and then you need to go somewhere else to have the party, and then that's going to be on external arenas. And in collaboration with Oslo Pride, we do, in order to be a part of a program, you need to have a certain training of your staff.
I'm really excited for this year, and I think talking with what you're allowed to say, I know there's still a lot of other surprises yet to come, but when I talk about the Pride and the parade and all these like beautiful, amazing, fabulous events that is coming, you know, I really want to stop a little bit and ask you a bit emotional question about Kim Friele, who she passed away last year. And I know that coming to this point where we can freely talk about the Pride and celebrate and do all this stuff, so we owe her a big debt. What would you say to Kim if she's listening to you now?
Oh, I would say thank you. She has meant a lot for a lot of people, and she did a fight that was at the time before the decriminalization in 1972 that we marked the 50 years since this year. It was not allowed for men to have sexual relations, and she did fight the fights for those who could not be visible. At that time, it would be illegal for two men and to stand out and do that fight. So it's about fighting for someone who has less privilege than yourself. I think that she did that, and also what she did, she always said, never stop fighting for your rights, because the day you take them for granted, they can be taken away again.
And this year, it's a special year because we are marking 50 years since the decriminalization of homosexuality in Norway. So Oslo Pride is going to be more like the events will be shaped out in a way to theme this.
Of course, history is going to be an important topic this year. There's going to be a lot of focus on the decriminalization, and throughout the whole year, it's going to be lots of stuff happening from other organizations and Oslo Pride as well to mark this 50 years. And it's the queer cultural year to mark the 50 years, and that is the reason why we started this new arena, Pride Square, to be a part of this marking of 50 years of decriminalization, marking it with culture.
That takes us to the last part, volunteering. And I know all this fabulous stuff that we talked about in Oslo Pride is actually happening by volunteers mostly. And what does volunteering mean to Oslo Pride?
Volunteering is our core value. In order for Oslo Pride to be a grassroots, it's supposed to be grassroots. It's supposed to be for all the queer community. And it's supposed to be a place where if you have an opinion, if you have a direction, if you want to participate, if you want to be a part of the community, then you should come to Oslo Pride and you should be a part of the team that develops the festival. So volunteering, it's not about having like free workers, and it's not about dugnad or this stuff. It's about being together with other people who are like yourself. You can be more safe about expressing your identity, and this is what the volunteering in Oslo Pride is about, to be together with people who are more like yourself and exploring in a safer environment.
Mm-hmm. What sort of fields volunteers can join in Oslo Pride?
It's all kinds of different fields. Like you can work with communications, you can work with technology, like the web page. You can work with design. It's all kinds of different groups. I think we have about 10 groups, different groups. And the most important thing, I think, is that if you have whatever where the engagement is, where people are engaged to do stuff, that's where things happen.
If someone wants to be a volunteer with the Oslo Pride, what's the process?
Okay, so there's two ways to be a volunteer. The easiest and less time consuming is to be a volunteer only during the festival, maybe take a shift or two. Then you go to our webpage, oslopride.no, and you click on the Bli frivillig button, and then you can put yourself on a shift or two during the festival. Then you have access to the volunteer area in Pride Park, and you will meet other people and making the festival together with. If you want to do further commitment and be a part of the direction the festival is going in, then you could be a volunteer during the whole year. The way we do that is that we announce it almost like a normal job, usually on frivillig.no and on our webpage. Different group needs more resources. Maybe we need a new designer, and if you're a designer, you have the certain skills, then you can apply. So in that way, we do a structural interview to make sure that all the people who wants to join can join, that we don't recruit through our own network only. And then you spend the whole year in a group, being social and also working together on projects, making the festival. There's also a third way, and that's to be a part of the board. That is also volunteer work. Then you need to be elected. And there's an election every year, and if you want to be a part of the board, or you know someone you think should be a part of the board, you should contact the election committee.
When volunteers join Oslo Pride, what Oslo Pride offers them in return? We were talking a little bit about, like, it's a family, it's a network. From your experience.
I think somewhere where you can explore your skills, but I think the network is probably the most important. That the feeling of belonging. My experience is that the best way to really get to know somebody is to work with them, to do a project, and to make a festival together. Then you will know each other on the good and the bads, and you will know how to what your skills are, my skills, how can we fulfill each other's skills. And I think that's a really nice way to build a community around you, to get a network.
Mm-hmm. The last question that I want to ask you, what's Oslo Pride message for 2022?
Come and join us.
Oslo Pride is more than just a festival. It's a movement that advocates equal rights and benefits for LGBTQIA+ people. It's a place where we learn that people should be proud of their sexual orientation and gender identity, that sexual diversity is a gift, where we respect one another without prejudice or discrimination. In Oslo Pride, we are all equal. It doesn't matter where you come from, your color, your gender, or your sexuality. We are family. Let's forget the ghost of the past and let's put our differences aside and make the Pride this year more fabulous. If you have any comments, suggestions, or even complaints, reach out to us. We are here to listen. Let's together make this change. Iko, thank you for this wonderful interview.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. We see you next month, end of April, with a very special guest. Stay tuned. Thank you.